Hello, this is Goku for System 1, and I'm with John. We will be talking about, hopefully you got that part, because I just noticed live right now. We will be talking about Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, spoilers, 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 Superman fucking dies. So if you're still here after I said spoilers 3 times, Superman dies. Yes. We'll get into that. He didn't really die, I don't think. But we'll get into that. We will get into that. Spoilers alert. I just wanted to do a big spoiler out of the gate so you know. Spoilers. Sorry if I didn't say get the hell out of here. When I say spoilers 3 times and you don't leave, that's not my problem, is it?
No. All right. So there was a lot. Go ahead.
So let's start out by giving a positive. I actually like this. I don't know if you like this in John Campia's videos, but I actually like this. Let's start out by giving a I think it's John Campia that does it. Whoever does this, let's start out by giving one. Actually, I think it's Gage Evolution. One positive and one negative.
What did John Campia think of the movie? I didn't even see his review yet.
They have a big spoilers review that I haven't seen yet. I
was wondering what he gave it out of 10.
I've only seen one review so far.
The review I saw was Jeremy John's.
Yeah, I've only seen one.
And I think his review, it's a good review. Like, I disagree with a lot of his points, but
yeah,
it's just I still respect his opinion.
But give me one positive and one negative, okay?
First, let me just go into this real quick.
Okay.
This movie was, being slammed from the beginning, so I'm not surprised about the critic score, to be honest. So everybody was shitting on this movie since day one. My biggest positive that I can say is that Ben Affleck as Batman is by far the sickest Batman we have ever seen on screen. He will literally beat the fucking shit out of every Batman we've ever had on screen at once. Maybe, but just by fucking flinching, he could beat the crap out of all of them. He was a badass in this movie. He felt like a freaking horror character. How he was standing, like he was in the corner of the room. That right there, if you're a diehard fucking Batman fan, and this is the Batman that you have been fucking waiting for. The detective Batman, the one that goes in head on into shit, running straight into fucking danger. Like, this is Batman, not a fucking sad little guy in a basement somewhere. This is Batman.
Yeah.
Okay.
And to add to your point, best Batcave ever.
Yeah, sick. And my biggest negative is that I wish that Wonder Woman, I kind of came around on this because I did a my Facebook group, I did a initial reaction, then I did a 30 fucking minute review on spoilers. But yeah, it's just but I came around on it in my spoiler review. But my negative when I came out of it was that I wish Wonder Woman, you would have known where she came from a little bit better. It's like she just popped in out of nowhere, really. Yeah. Eli, say something. Can I hear you?
I can hear you.
All right, yeah, I can hear you now.
Give a negative and positive, and then all we've done so far.
Yeah, my negative so far, I'm kind of coming around about it because you're supposed to think she's like this mysterious type woman and what she's about. Is she with Lex? Is she working for who? She's looking into things that, you're supposed to question who she is, but we knew who the fuck she was going in. Yeah. And imagine if you didn't know who Gal Gadot was playing, and then it was revealed that she was Wonder Woman.
Yep. And Darkinception has just joined us, so give us your negative and positive, then I'll give mine, and then we'll go into more general discussion.
Alright, well, first off, I want to say sorry I'm late. The Batmobile lost a wheel, but the Joker did not get away. So, all in all...
Did Robin lay an egg, though, or no?
Robin's dead.
Yeah,
anyway.
True, he is. He is actually. No pun intended, because he is.
Yeah.
Before I forget this, this is just something funny that happened after I saw the movie. I went to McDonald's, and I was wearing my Nightwing shirt. John knows what it is.
Yeah, I wish you would fucking give me the second one you have.
Well, I only have one. If I can get a second one.
Oh wait, I thought you said you bought 2 of them.
No, I bought one.
Is it animated series logo?
Yep.
Yeah.
I have that.
But Yeah, but what happened was I went in there and there were a couple of kids that said, "Oh yeah, that's the Helicarrier shirt." I'm like, "No, that's Nightwing." Batman, like it was funny. It was funny they didn't know who that was. But okay, Darkinception, negative and positive.
I feel like a huge. First of all, I have more positives than negatives, but I feel like my total thoughts on this are. This is a movie that's going to be talked about for a long time. There's just so much here. I mean, just beyond the comic nods and Easter eggs and stuff, just understanding the ideological differences between Batman and Superman from the perspective of every single character and how they kind of view them. I mean, every time you watch the movie, you're going to pick up on someone else's kind of viewings on things, and I think that's really interesting. I think the characters were both really accurate. They both actors had a lot of nuances and stuff that were really similar to the comics, and I really like that. I think this is the best, in my opinion. I think Cavill's the best Superman we've had. I like him personally even more than Reeves.
After this film, Darkinception, after this film, I completely agree. Because it made him even better now. When I look at his Superman performance as a full picture now, by miles, in my opinion.
I think Reeves is very because here's the thing. I think Reeves is very indicative of that version of Superman, but this Superman that Cavill's playing is a more well-rounded Superman, and that's kind of the nature of Superman in the comics of now versus then. Superman now is so much more well-rounded, therefore an accurate Superman now would be more well-rounded than, so I just feel like the Superman's better. Affleck, I really like.
You feel for this man, It's not just, a guy who has everything in the world, I mean, I know that's what Superman should be too, but, so many people complain all the time. You can't see Superman ever losing, or you can't see Superman doing anything cool, because even Stan Lee said it, He said, well, there's never any Superman moments where he feels like he's in dire straits. Any fucking Man of Steel in this film, you feel for him,
Mm-hmm.
I think you felt for Christopher Reeve, but in the sequels and stuff, he's just perfect in every way. There's nothing wrong with him. You know what I mean? In this, it's you feel this guy. You feel what he's coming from. You see him in a different light in these films that you've never seen Superman done before, I think.
The one thing I really liked about this Superman, and the second I saw this, I was like, yes, you nailed it, is, as you know, Superman's an adult, but Superman's really naive. And I don't necessarily mean that in a bad way. I mean that in the way of almost, I'm trying to think of how to put it, he's still, he's childlike almost in a certain respect. When in the terms of Lois.
I can give you an example and tell me if this is what you're talking about. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
When he's given that ultimatum from Lex Luthor, he goes in that going, no. There's always a third option. I'm just gonna get this guy. I
fucking love that. God damn it.
I'm gonna get this guy's help. We're gonna work together.
I was so happy that he's like, yeah, I'm gonna fuck you up, Batman. That's not what it was. It was I don't want to hurt you, bro. Can you help me?
Yeah, and it was is that what you're talking about, like that?
Well, there's that, and I definitely mean that, but I also mean he had to learn, in the sense of, Lois shows up, and she was in danger in the beginning, and he shows up, and he beats the hell out of all those people, and Lois was basically saying, you have to be more careful. Every action you do has a reaction, and he was going on saying, well, you're in danger. Why don't I save you? There is no other way of looking at it. But it took, he had to understand, and he had to learn throughout this film that everything he does has an equal reaction, and that's something I feel Batman understands, but Superman didn't until the end of this movie, and I really like that.
When fucking Lex blew up that freaking place with him in there, and he's just looking at everybody burning. It's like, holy fuck, man. Like, I was like, literally, like, this is like, you feel so horrible for this guy. And like, I heard people saying like, oh, Batman only wants to fight, doesn't really want to fight Superman for any legit reason. Did you not pay attention? Because he didn't trust him after the first time. Then there was multiple actions that happened that he was being framed for, and Batman's, look, I gotta kill this guy. He stole the kryptonite, and he went and freaking made kryptonite freaking, smoke pellets, fucking, he made the freaking lead smoke pellet. He made the magic fucking thing, like that, sure we do. And it was that thing in the freaking Dark Knight Returns. He used that on him in this fucking movie. He did everything against him. And I love how, in the last second, before he was going to kill him, he realized that we're a lot more alike than you think. And Mark's like, well, they're nothing alike. Well, this film made them alike.
Well, okay, we're bordering on general discussion, so let me get out my negative and positive so we can get into the general discussion where everyone wants to be. But before we do that, we had a comment for a while, but I wanted to wait till when I got to speak. Drake and G said, my biggest negative is the pacing. If you want to give your biggest positive, please leave that also. I will mention on the video. And we will get into that later. I did have a problem with that, but I'm actually going to give a little bit of a weird negative. This might be completely personal. This might be something that everyone else disagrees with me, but it was something that bugged me about the movie, and that's how Batman figured out about the other Justice League members. To me, Lex Luthor having that and not Batman, to me, is out of character. Batman is the one who should have had those files. Lex Luthor having them is fine. That's a thing he does too. But that's a thing Batman does. And that should have been, in my opinion, and we can talk about this, in my opinion, the end scene of the movie should have been Wonder Woman saying, what do we do next? And him saying, I've been tracking several other members like us. We have to group them together because things are coming. I don't know exactly what they are, but there are threats coming and we need to be united.
No, I see what you're saying about that. That's a good point.
Yeah, it's a weird negative. Giving one negative.
No, that's a great. Weird. No, that's a good criticism. I agree. I can see what you're saying.
My positive, it might be a little lame, but this is probably my biggest positive of it. The fight scenes were freaking amazing. Like, across the board, amazing. They worked. You understood what was happening. There was never a time when you did not understand who was fighting who, what they were fighting. Like, the fight scene, you can bitch at this movie. I think there are complaints about this movie. If you complain about the fight scenes, the choreography and all that, then you're bitching to bitch, in my opinion. Okay, so let's pick topics and dive into that. All right,
let me go into something real quick.
Okay.
Everybody since day one has been shitting on everything about this movie. Let's go to the biggest thing known to man. The biggest thing.
Well, before you say that, one really quick. Drake and G just commented, biggest positive for me was final fight. So his negative was pacing and his positive was final fight. If anybody else is listening to this, you can do that as well. I will mention you. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Okay, continue. Sorry.
All right, so biggest thing that everybody questioned since day one, was Ben Affleck as Batman. I want to start with Darkinception. What did you think of him?
I think he's the best Batman we've had so far. Live action.
What about him as Bruce Wayne? Like, that's the big part too. Like,
I think because what they did really well was they made us really care about Bruce Wayne. They made us care about his relationship with Alfred and, the way he views the world, and they made his worldviews really strong. But as Batman, it wasn't, whereas, and again, I think Christian Bale is a great Bruce Wayne Batman, but it's not like Christian Bale's where, this is Bruce, and this is like a guy under the costume. This Batman was almost supernatural. Like, he seemed so borderline supernatural at times.
He was so fucking creepy.
When he had his debut scene, the way he was in the corner, the way he escaped that building, it was just completely unnatural, and it was something you'd expect from almost a supernatural being. And I really like that. You don't have to have Because everyone's saying, everyone picked apart that fight scene he had when he was saving Martha Kent, and they were saying, oh, he threw the person through concrete, and no, he did that, and no, he did this. You don't have to have a grounded Batman to have a good Batman. And, you can have a comic book Batman. You could have him do things that aren't feasible and still have him be cool, because that's what Batman is to me.
Yeah.
But that's just me. And I think this was just all across the board a great Batman, and I look forward to seeing more of him. I will say negatives, but I want you guys to get this across first.
Scott Adkins was never a good choice. This proves it. Getting a good actor makes sense.
Well,
it shows. I mean, it shows. Go ahead. What?
Yeah, and I agree. He was even better than my choice, which my choice is actually in the movie, weirdly enough, Jason Momoa, but I think he was a better choice than Jason Momoa. Not that I have any problems with Jason Momoa. If they need a new Batman in the future, no, he's Aquaman. But my opinion on him was, yes, he was. I'm not going to say he was the best Batman, because that's basically saying that he's like definitive, and he's not. He's a version of Batman, and he's the best version of that type of Batman we've ever gotten. But I do think the Nolan Batman is still good in its own right. It still does that other need. The more realistic Batman that can't bend the laws of physics, that can't do ridiculous things, that can't pull anything out of his utility belt, I do think that is still a better version of that type of Batman, the more grounded Batman. This is more comic book, more animated series, more... Literally, if he does something, you don't question it. You realize that he can do anything that he needs to do. Batman.
Yeah, I completely agree with that too. And him as Bruce Wayne, like from the get-go, when I saw that he was cast, everybody was shitting on him. Oh, giggly, Daredevil, he sucks, he's a bad actor.
Baby-faced.
Yeah, baby-faced, that was... Yeah, what? But anyway, yeah, he's a bad actor, he's this, he sucks, he's a Clayface, and all this. Like, he's just boring. First of all that criticism, after watching the movie, I was like, since day one, I knew they were wrong. Because as soon as you see him, and you see his origin in the title, in the opening titles and everything, it was fucking amazing. Like, that shit is Batman. That shit was Batman done 100%.
Yeah, I will say this: when talking about him as Bruce Wayne, I don't think we fully got him as Bruce Wayne. I think we got him at a point where he doesn't really have a distinction between the two. He's been at this so long that I think he's more Batman than he's ever Bruce Wayne. So I think we didn't actually get to see him as, like, the quote-unquote Bruce Wayne, in my opinion. I don't know if you guys... I feel
the opposite. I feel like we've seen more Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, I feel like Bruce Wayne was like, philanthropist, like freaking. He had a girl in his bed and everything. Like, he was a billionaire playboy in scenes. Like, I love that shit.
Okay. I just felt that this was more of a person who is much more like, where I just kind of feel that he was like that. Like that he...
and I didn't even mention him at all, which I feel really bad about, but there's so much about this movie that I love, that it's like, he's so good too, and that's freaking Jeremy Irons as Alfred. He was. Great fucking Alfred. Like, just a fantastic Alfred in every way. I just keep forgetting to say something, because there's so much more I love about this movie, that it's that's just a really good, like, side dish.
I was still kind of disappointed.
Comments about our Batman.
I remember when I heard him actually cast, and I was like, God damn it, why couldn't he have been Lex Luthor? I think he would have been a great Lex Luthor, Jeremy Irons. I do. But he was a great Lex Luthor, and I'm not disappointed.
Yeah, but Lex Luthor's never been, like, English or nothing.
I heard Bryan Cranston was runner-up to be Lex. I just read an article on that.
That would have been interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely would.
But yeah, it's just let's get on that, actually, on the Jesse Eisenberg Lex Luthor thing. We'll start with Mark.
I think we should answer the question we have first.
What?
For Batman.
Brent. Okay. Well, getting back into what I was saying, and you guys can say this in a minute. Getting back to so Drake and G asked, how do you feel about Batman branding criminals? And I'm gonna go with this a little bit psychology. Darkinception can kind of go into this. Batman. No matter what you think about Batman, Batman is at least borderline psychotic. He might not be psychotic. He might be sane. But he certainly is somebody who is borderline. He is certainly somebody who is capable of going a little too far and actually becoming psychotic. He is on the edge. If you want to think he's sane, fine, but he's certainly not somebody who's fully sane, who doesn't have, who basically is not on the edge. He absolutely is. And with serial murderers, they do go a little bit farther and a little bit farther, and I think this is him going slightly farther. He's not willing to kill people, but now, but in a way, this is kind of his solution to that, of, hey, if you're a dirtbag, I'm going to brand you, and what happens in prison is no longer my responsibility. If people kill you, I didn't kill you. I kind of think it's that mentality of...
Who was also like the guy who lunged for the grenade while he was fighting all those thugs. Like, people are saying like Batman threw a grenade at him. No, he tossed him out of the way, and the guy, you know, he was a victim.
He tried to throw the grenade back, and he just didn't get there in time. The guy could have ran the other way. Like,
yeah.
That's not Batman's fault that somebody was an idiot.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, it's the idea that he's going to the next level, and this is not killing people, but this is basically saying, hey, if you don't want to, if you're going to commit crimes, you're going to be thrown in prison, and people are going to know that you're fucked up, so be aware of that.
But I want to get on friggin' Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor for a minute. Another one that I was like, what the fuck? At first, I thought that was just a bad choice. That was my initial reaction. And then I started to think about it. I'm like, because when you think of Jesse Eisenberg, you think, well, this is just another Michael Cera. He's a funny guy. He's like a witty type, like quick talk, funny dude. And like the more I thought about it, I started to come around on him. And then when I saw the movie, I'm like, this is Lex Luthor to me. This is my Lex Luthor. I think this version of Lex Luthor is my favorite of Lex Luthor because there's so many different variations of this character. It's like he's been done in every Superman movie for like 30 years, really. I mean, except Superman 3, you know, and that's where they kind of did a better version of Lex, so it's like they did Lex again in that movie anyway. This version of Lex is the Superman 3 Lex, but just with a different, you know, look, really. I mean, he was the philanthropist. He was an asshole. You know, he seemed like your friend when you saw him up close, but then he freaking behind the scenes is gonna fucking fuck you up. You know.
Well, your voice just became a lot more clear a second ago. I don't know how.
Huh?
You went from being you just got clearer a second ago. Not a problem. I'm just saying.
What do you mean clearer? My mic is fucked up?
No, your mic was fine. It's just better now.
Oh, but yeah,
you went from good to better.
There's multiple variations of this character throughout his entire history. You know, when he first started, he was a fat guy. You know, and he started in the you know, the Kirk Allen Superman series, and his name was Luthor at first, and he was a fat guy in a white coat. You know, and then he, you know, multiple versions. Then he was another, you know, guy with freaking red hair. Then he was another fat guy with just a ponytail red hair. You know, then Gene Hackman's Lex was really different from a lot of other versions because he was witty, smart, and funny and stuff, you know. But he wasn't really a billionaire, but he was like, you know, the smartest man in the world.
And we just lost Darkinception. Yeah. Hopefully he returns.
Yeah, hopefully. But yeah, he was just a fucking awesome. I thought he was awesome. Jesse Eisenberg, yeah. I was convinced once I saw him, you know, fully in the movie.
Yeah. Well, what's your opinion, Darkinception, on Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor?
What was your opinion, Darkinception, on Jesse Eisenberg?
On Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah.
I thought he was good. You know, it's interesting. I think one thing people don't recognize is that he he's a different character from when the movie begins than when the movie ends. You know, he slowly, because when the movie begins, he almost has this performance he's trying to uphold.
Yeah, I was saying that too. It's like he's pretending to be this nice guy.
But by the end, it's just like, he doesn't care. The cat's out of the bag, and he's just, he's full on out there.
And I love how they gave him his red hair like how he was in multiple versions. I mean, once you see him bald, that was Lex. Like, holy crap, was he fucked up.
I liked how his greatest strength was how manipulative he was. You have the strongest man alive telling you you've just lost, and he still one-ups you. You have the smartest man alive. You one-up him by having him go up against the guy who's trying to kill you right now, who's trying to put you behind bars. And I think just the way he was kind of one step ahead of everyone, it was really interesting. And I think that I'm going to venture to say that a lot of people that don't like his... I can understand if you don't like his performance or that version of Lex, but you can't call it wrong.
Yeah.
I think it was as accurate as it could be, but trying to be something fresh, because I think this was actually a combo of every version of Lex we've ever had. It's just, you've seen him so many times done, that it's like, how many times are you going to do him without just seem like you're doing the same thing over and over? So they gave you a fresh take, but at the same time, being the billionaire, being the philanthropist, being the guy behind the scenes who's actually a fucking psychotic nut job, would blow up your entire family. That's what he did in the movie. I mean... I've been saying this shit for fucking months, and that's exactly what they did in the movie. So,
how do you I can wait until we get off Lex.
Yeah. So my thoughts on Lex, first of all, is I heard a lot of people saying that this was going to be a self-made Lex. It wasn't. They established very well that his father was raised.
Yeah, I love how they mentioned his dad. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. They
never say his dad was dead either. He could still be alive.
He could be, but I think they kind of
What if his dad is Bryan Cranston?
That'd be cool. But they did. But I do think. But I do think this was a good interpretation of Lex. It was interesting, his character development, who he was as a character, what his goals were, and I do think if they had done something like this similar in Superman Returns, less people would have complained, where he's manipulating the situation until the very end, where he's got big monster has to fight the hero, and movie ends. So yeah. So what were you saying, Darkinception, that you wanted to get on?
Oh, I was going to ask about flaws first. Before we even get the flaws, what does everyone think about Doomsday?
Me? I thought Doomsday... Well, I was expecting a little bit more from him, too, to be honest. Like, I thought he was going to evolve a little more than that, but I wish they would have never shown him in the trailer. That's the fucking problem. Whoever cut up that trailer, the second trailer, and showed him in the trailer, you're a dumbass. Period. Because if we would have never saw him in the trailer, then we would have loved it even better, because like, we see the fucking finished product of what he looks like already. I mean, I could kind of understand why they did that to a certain extent, because, like, they wanted to show that there's going to be a badass battle in this movie with a villain we recognize, not showing him as just a prototype at first. It's just they should have never showed him at all. They should have hinted at the fact that, he created something in the trailer, but never showed him in the trailer. But
right.
It's just, I did like him, in the movie. It was badass, like how Lex created him. He stole his fingerprints off his flesh, and then he took him into the ships where Zod, and all that shit happened. And then they, used the freaking body to make Doomsday. It was just sick. Like, that whole fucking part was just badass.
Yep.
You know, and like how he just showed up, and like how he was like exploding and fucking shooting shit out of his eyes. There's versions of Doomsday where he can do that, where he can like, you know, shoot entire like energy blasts out of himself like that. So they're like doing all different kinds of versions of Doomsday.
I might be in the I might be in the minority here. I don't know. We'll find out in a minute here. Um, but um, but I will say this. It's one of those times where he looks like the comic book character, but I really didn't like the CG. It's nothing to do with they did anything wrong. It's to do with, and I think he was bigger than he should have been. I don't know if that was just me, but he was like 16 feet tall. I don't know if he's actually supposed to be like twice the size of Superman. Is he in the comics?
Yeah, he was pretty big, yeah.
In the comics,
I think he was
like,
about at the same size as he was.
In the comics, he's like Hulk size.
Yeah, he
wasn't that much bigger than Superman in this movie. Like, I don't know.
In this movie, didn't he hold Wonder Woman in one of his hands alone or something?
Yeah, he was
but hold on, let me show you an image right now. I think this is
like,
how big he was in the movie. Hold on.
He seemed like twice the size of Superman.
Hold on, I'll show you an image real quick.
He was really big. I took note of that. He was like holding one of them in his hand.
And I loved when he got his fucking hand cut off by I don't remember who cut it off, but that was
Wonder Woman.
badass. How he grew a fucking new hand like this picture right here. Hold on. This is from New 52 though. I think he looked about the size as this. Right here. I don't think he looked that much bigger than Superman. It was just, you know, he was jumping on buildings and stuff, so he kind of looked bigger than he really was. Hold on, I'll send this to the chat. Wait, you guys not are in the chat. Hold on.
Yeah. Well, let's get while you're doing that, let's get on. I'm just saying, I have no problems with him. He was actually
I just
really
sent
well.
you the image.
Yeah. He was done really, really well. I think he is definitely bigger than that version.
Yeah, he was bigger than that.
Dude, no, he was not. Like, he wasn't. But okay, whatever. Anyway, let's move on to the next thing.
Okay. But yeah, I think him in the movie was really well. But I'm gonna get into one of my other things that actually did kind of bug me in this movie. And we can talk about this for a minute. Is the death of Superman. Personally, me, I think it was a little too quick. Too quick, as in this is the second movie and now he's already dead. And also, as I left, I was telling my dad, no, Superman's not actually dead. And I was telling the people behind me, he's not actually dead. He's just regenerating. Like, his body was damaged to such a severe point that he now needs to regenerate. That's almost certainly going to be the explanation. I don't know if you guys agree, but it's almost going to be the explanation that his body was so damaged that it needs time to regenerate. So that's why it takes a month or a year for him to come back, because his body is slowly regenerating.
Yeah, that's exact. Wait, what? Yeah. Say that last part one more time.
I agree, though.
Basically what I was saying is I don't think they're going to say that magically he was resurrected or something. I think they're just going to say that his body was damaged so much that he needed to, that he went into stasis to regenerate.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens in the storyline.
Yeah. And I think that's how the movie is going to handle it.
Yeah, that was done beautifully. That whole freaking funeral scene literally just had me crying like a baby. That whole, like, I'll just talk about the whole death scene in general. Like, I thought that was pretty fucking, like, when you see that, when you look at the comics, it was like when he died or whatever, because I know that when Superman is fighting Doomsday, that his spikes can, you know, pierce his flesh. So that's exactly what happened. He just did it right into the S, you know, and his S was bloody, kind of like the cover of the thing. That was really cool. I noticed that the second time that his S was like all fucked up now from that was a cool little nod to the cover of that. But it was just when he stabbed him and then Superman stabbed him, they both blew up because the kryptonite exploded them both. Like, the radiation fucked up because Batman has been smoke pellets in him, breathing in all this shit. I mean, he got sunlight, and that was cool too. Like that image of him, when he was like a skeleton, and that was in Dark Knight Returns
Oh,
too. When he was a, can I finish real quick? Hold
yeah.
on 1 second. When he was absorbing the sunlight, like in Dark Knight Returns, that was so fucking badass. Like that was a great scene. And then he goes back down, he fights Doomsday, and that right there where he died, it was like when she was holding his head in her hands, that shit was in the story. Like that shit, when I think of Superman Doomsday or Death of Superman, that's the image that comes to my mind. And it was like comic book fucking pictures coming to live action. Literally, Batman and Superman in this movie fighting each other is the Dark Knight Returns come to life. That shit right there, like that whole. I think there was so much in here that was like, if you know the stuff from the comics, it was literally beautiful. Like seriously, like they just did it so fucking amazing. And that scene, I don't care what anyone says, I was literally crying my fucking eyes out.
Yeah. What I was gonna say really quickly is a channel that I like. I don't think the video was I don't think the information was the greatest, but he was only going based on a trailer. But Film Theory did a video, but he did mention something in the video that this film actually did, and I kind of felt that was interesting, because he did the video before seeing the movie. Is the fact that he mentioned that based on Superman actually getting sunlight, that radiation would be a weakness to him because...
Yeah, because the kryptonite is radiation.
Yeah, but no, he's saying...
That kills him.
But no, but not the radiation of it. That the nukes actually hurt him in the movie, and he said that accurately, if you absorb sunlight like that, a nuke would be the counter to that and would probably hurt Superman. And
yeah,
they did that.
That's what they did in the fucking Dark Knight Returns Strikes Again.
Yeah, but I'm saying that they did do that in the movie, and I felt that was interesting how a nuke did hurt him.
Yeah.
Because a lot of sources have him basically being able to survive anything, and it's interesting that no, he is weak to nukes. But if he gets the sunlight, he's fine.
And when Lois did that part with the dirt, like throwing the dirt into the coffin, that shit was in Smallville a lot. Like that was cool how they did that.
Yep.
But it was just that fucking fight scene though with Batman and Superman, like it was just done to perfection. He's like, "Stay down. If I wanted it, you'd be dead already." When you know it in context now, it doesn't seem like he's just being an asshole. It just seems like, listen, you fucking dick, Listen to me. Listen to me.
We have a really quick question. Drake and G wants to ask, did they ever call it kryptonite in the movie? I don't remember.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, they did a couple times.
Okay. Well, that's your answer.
But on kryptonite for 1 second. I've been saying since Man of Steel came out that they kind of use kryptonite in Man of Steel because when he goes onto Zod's ship, he's, absorbing, Krypton's atmosphere because that's stuck on the ship, and the articulates that were coming out of the world engine that were in the South Indian Ocean was turning the rocks in the water into kryptonite. I've been saying that. That was my theory for a while, and that's exactly what they did. That was so fucking sick.
Yeah.
I love that. Oh, and if anybody didn't notice this, if you're watching the movie, if you see the movie again, on like the part where the Scoot McNairy character who had his like legs fucked up, on his wall, he's been like obsessed with Superman saving people and stuff, and there's a lot more Easter eggs that I want to like dissect the shit out of that scene, but the one that really stood out to me is Action Comics #1 of the cover of the comic is literally a picture of Henry Cavill doing the exact same thing with the car. That was a cool little Easter egg that I never really even heard anyone say. That was cool.
Yeah.
And Eli pointed this out, but I noticed it too, but I didn't bring it up. But now I'm going to bring it up, but when he's like, this isn't about apple pie, this is how it was in the 30s, you know, to Clark Kent. That's exactly what I feel.
In 1938.
Yeah, this is Superman for this generation. You know what I mean? That's exactly what he was trying to say. And it was funny how it was like that. It was like winking at the audience, like breaking the fourth wall, but at the same time explaining so much history at once. I love that.
Yeah. Getting to the Batman vs Superman main fight, at the very, very end, where Clark says Martha and Batman freaks out. I thought that was really cool. They actually acknowledged, and they actually did a scene where they have the exact same mother's name, and how that basically
they gave them a fucking great connection in this movie. Batman and Superman are nothing alike. Well, in this film, they've actually made them a lot alike. Because they have a connection, you know? Like, he would do anything to save his mother, and Batman wants that for him. He doesn't want him to feel like, you know, he doesn't have his parents anymore, you know, this legacy that he has. He's older than his father ever was. Like, you feel for Bruce Wayne a lot. And then by the end of the movie, when he has to save Superman from killing him, he realizes, no, I can't let you live without a mother. I know how that feels. And plus, he had that premonition, you know, you have to save my mother. She was my world, you know? I can understand what you're saying, you know? Like, that. I love that. I love that.
Is it just me, or did you guys, because this is one of my theories going in, and I thought it was disproven before I saw the movie, but now I'm not so sure. Did it seem like Batman, did it seem like Batman was just getting revealed, or like he's been around for 20 years, but it seemed like people...
I didn't get that. I felt like he was just Batman forever. I mean,
no,
he's been Batman for 20 years.
No, I understand he's been Batman for 20 years.
I get what you're saying, but like the police were like, what the hell was that? I think I saw him.
The police didn't seem like they knew who this guy was. It seemed like he's been doing this in the shadows so well that this is the first time that people are finally figuring out there really is a Batman. Like it felt like no, he's been Batman for 20 years, but people didn't know he was being Batman because he was doing it so well. Is that just me?
Yeah, I could see what you're saying about that. But it was sick how he was like going from one place to the other, like behind Superman, behind fucking people like that, like a stealth mode. Like in the Arkham games, this felt like fucking Arkham Batman come to life. This felt like animated series Batman come to fucking life. Comic book Batman. You know, this Batman, I'll say this again, will beat the shit out of every Batman known to man. Probably all of them at once.
Yeah.
Because he was just a freaking badass in this movie. And I thought his voice was going to sound a little weird because it was like robotic, but it worked really well in the movie for me. Like that was a cool little change on the voice thing. They got that from Arrow. I thought it was going to sound a little weird, but I loved it. I thought his voice sounded really cool, and how Alfred's, you know, set that up when the movie started, that he was like, you know, creating all the suits for him and stuff. Like that was so cool. And I've been saying he's more than a butler. Like he's been, you know, he's like a, like I thought they were gonna go a little bit more into that about Alfred. Like he was this war vet, but they really didn't. But he was like helping him create the gadgets, the fucking, you know, all the stuff in the Batcave. That was really cool. Like, and he came up with the voice changer modifier thing, and that was cool.
Yeah. So let's get into one of my issues and see if you guys completely 100% disagree with me. I'm guessing you do. Is I think the movie did have pacing problems. I think that was my biggest gripe with the movie. I feel the movie was too long. I feel that like the first hour could have been cut down by 20 to 30 minutes. So what do you guys have to say on that? I do think this movie had pacing problems.
I had some problems with the pacing as well. A little bit.
Anything in general?
You guys don't seem like you're enthused enough to do this. I mean, I don't know. It's just like, if you don't want to be here, it doesn't matter to me. I mean...
No, we're talking.
I mean, what the fuck's the point of doing a podcast if no one wants to do it? But yeah, I thought... I didn't really see that. I thought the pacing was done perfectly. Like, it flowed perfectly for me. Like, I didn't feel that.
Okay.
I felt like the first act, or about the first half, the rising action towards the fight, like I was like, yeah, I get it, and I felt like it was really strong. But I felt like the second half, just kind of leading up to the fight, I felt like was a little weaker. I think it had a nice payoff. I just think the second act could have been a little bit stronger, in my opinion. Not the worst pacing I've ever seen, but I think it could have been a little bit better, in my
For
opinion.
me, I think this was a better film than Avengers 2. Like, I thought Avengers 2 was like by the numbers, let's get by this film. This movie felt like there was real stakes involved. Like, you felt for every character. I felt for every situation. It was more than just like, hey, here's another villain they gotta face, and then that's it. No. In this, every fucking thing happened for a reason. It mattered. The stakes were high. Like, I felt every freaking character was like, in peril and danger, Like, nobody in Avengers 2 felt like they were in danger whatsoever for me.
I can get that, yeah. I I would say I like this, yeah, a little bit better than Avengers 2.
Not better than Avengers 1, I don't, yeah, well, yeah, I think it's better, yeah, it's better than Avengers 1.
I don't think.
I personally
But let me just say
disagree,
this,
but
we're forgetting about this. Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. What did you guys think of her? I think I touched on it quickly, but what do you guys individually think of her? Even Draven G, who's listening.
who first?
Anybody, I don't care.
I suppose
Well,
I'll go first. Oh, unless you want to go first, that's fine.
No, go ahead.
I thought she was great. The scene she was in, her chemistry as Diana with Bruce, I thought was great. Her on the battlefield was, of course, badass. I did expect to see more of her, but again, her solo film's coming up soon, so I could excuse it. My only problem, and this is less a problem with her, but and more problem with just kind of the way that scene was executed, is that whole party scene. I felt like she sort of one-upped Batman or Bruce Wayne, and I feel like she shouldn't have. And I just kind of felt
Well,
that
he
way about.
spotted her pretty fast. He's like, I can tell through your Babe in the Woods act. I can tell you're phony.
No,
What are
he
you doing
absolutely
here?
did.
What are you about? What are you doing here? Like, he knew what she was up to. He knew she was suspicious.
He did. I just there was that scene where he was being, and I guess this is more of a problem with just the way that scene was executed. I thought it was a great scene. Batman showing up there and investigating. He was on to Lex's bullshit, which you even called. I thought that was great. But there was that scene where he was being followed by Mercy and watched by Mercy. He wasn't entirely on to her. And then there was the scene where she, Diana took the encryption thing. And I feel like that just wouldn't have happened if it was I don't know, I feel like that wouldn't have happened to Batman. You guys might disagree, but that was just one little nitpick I had with that scene.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying. But for me, I'll go on Wonder Woman. I just wish they would have went into more about where she came from. Like, that she just randomly came out of nowhere in the scene. But that was the point. Like I said, they were trying to show that she was like this mysterious woman walking around. Is she a hero? Is she a villain? She kind of looks, mysterious. Bruce Wayne sees through her bullshit, so what she's about. We just knew she was Wonder Woman from the get-go. So, you know what I mean? I just wish that they would have, told us that she came from the Mascara Island. They called her Diana once in the movie. And then they showed the photo that Lex stole from her that she's been around since 1918, and she doesn't want that getting out. So that was the whole point of her getting into Lex and looking through his schemes and bullshit. I thought that was cool. I thought when her and the Trinity showed up, when she freaking stopped Doomsday's blast and her freaking her hands were up in the air like that, her freaking her freaking fuck, what the hell are they called? Her freaking her wrist bracelets. That was so cool. And then she was using the lasso of truth and all that shit. It was just perfect seeing the Trinity together fighting on the same screen. It was just awesome. People are saying that her lines seem wooden at times. I can agree with that a little too, because it was I understand what they were going for, that she has like an accent. She's from like, from a Greek mythology. She's supposed to seem like, she's not like just an American chick. Yippee. She seems like she's, from a different world or a different country or where the hell she came from. I like that idea of her. It's
Yeah.
just some of the scenes she was in was like, you didn't really understood what she said. But I thought she was really awesome. She looked badass in the costume. Her and Batman and Superman like interacting with each other was just amazing. Like that, Batman and Superman alone interacting with each other was just done to perfection. Like I just love that, But I also didn't bring up Clark Kent scenes. I fucking love those scenes. I've been waiting to see more of Henry Cavill as the Clark Kent with the glasses on, working at the Daily Planet, and they did a great
Hmm.
job with that. Like that was just done beautiful.
I agree.
But yeah, all of them interacting. But the Flash and all that, those premonitions of the Flash, I thought that was a little weird and came off out of nowhere. To be honest, when I think about it now, it was like
Well, I was watching that, and
you had a vision within a vision.
well, I was saying this to the person I saw the movie with when we walked out. I was like, that scene blew me away. But when I sit back and think about it, I would have saved that for like a post-credit scene, like,
Yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah. That would have been cool saving that there.
or at least for the end, like, um, you see the dust over his grave rising. It cuts to black, and then you have that scene. And then you have Batman waking up, and you see Flash saying, "You have to save her. It's all about her," or whatever. And then,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
I could yeah, that would have been a
credits.
cool little. That would have been cool.
But
Yeah,
again,
Yeah, that would have been a nice put that right there. Yeah.
yeah. My opinion on Wonder Woman is I actually liked what they did with her in the movie. I felt they didn't do enough with her in the movie. I wish she would have been in.
Well, we
She
knew from the get-go she was gonna be supporting character.
No, I understand she was a supporting character. She seemed not. She seemed just to that level of being a supporting character. That if she had a scene or two less, she might not even been. She might have been a cameo. Like she had just enough to call her a supporting character. I think she should have had a little bit more.
Like when they showed the scenes of her on a plane, I thought that was going to be her coming from another country. So they were going to allude to where she came from, like the mascara, but that was just her leaving to go back to where she came to where
Yeah.
she comes from. It says Turkish Airlines and all that, like she's going to a weird location or whatever. I just wish that was her introduction instead of her leaving. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then
We
she
have.
sees on the news, that she needs to help the heroes, and that was cool.
Yep.
But yeah, what were we gonna say? Someone commented.
Yeah, he's been commenting a lot, but I'm going to read this one. Drake and G commented, and thank you for your comments. Did you notice that the Flash was wearing like a red hoodie over his mask?
Yeah, he was wearing like two suits. It almost looked like
for what, the surveillance thing, or for the future premonition?
the future premonition thing. He was wearing
Well,
like two
I think that
suits.
was about him staying and hiding. I think at that point, Superman gone rogue. The superheroes have at least the
Yeah,
surviving heroes have split apart. You need to keep your shit hidden if you don't want to die.
he's definitely from an altered dimension. So things are gonna happen similar to that premonition scene, but it's not gonna be the same events. Like if you save his mother, something else will come in its
Did he
place,
say you had to save the mother,
and
or
it's
did you say
and
you had to
it's
save Lois?
That's what I'm getting to. And it's going to be instead Lois. He saved his mom. That was supposed to turn him to a psycho at that moment when Batman saved Lois. I mean, when he saved Martha. But now it's going to be that Lois dies in Justice League.
But I thought, no, but I was saying, did Flash warn him about the mother or about Lois? Because I thought you said Lois.
He said only she's the key.
Oh.
So
I
you
could
he
have
thinks
sworn he
she
said it
means
was
Martha.
Lois.
He thinks that it only means Martha, but I think it means Lois, but we don't know who he really meant until the last. Like, if you know Injustice, then you know what he means. But if you don't, you're gonna think he means Martha, and then when you see Justice League, holy shit, that actually wasn't what happened because he saved her in that moment, and it was actually Lois that turned him into this, and Darkseid, takes him over and shit. And he turns into that sicko fucking nutcase Superman from Injustice.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see it in the Justice League, what they do with that.
I think they're gonna do that. I think they're gonna make Superman like the Injustice Superman, like Injustice game. They
I
might
think
even change his suit, like to the black suit. In that fucking flashback, he should have had the black suit.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, I mean, for me personally, let's go into scores. What you give the movie out of 10 now? For me personally, I give the movie a 9.5. Whoever wants to go next.
I give it anywhere from an 8 to an 8.5. Probably 8.5 I'd settle with. Yeah, 8.5.
I've been debating this, but as of right now, I'm at a 6.
Out of 10?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I mean, I might disagree with that score. I mean, I do think that is, like, incredibly low for, like, absolutely no reason. But hey, that's your opinion.
Yeah.
Well, we will see this Batman again very soon in some capacity. So.
In Suicide Squad. And that's my second most anticipated movie of the year, so that's going to be fucking amazing. Can't wait.
And we will finally have this Joker question answered.
Yeah, that if he's Jason Todd, I hope that's not true. Please don't fucking.
It's not true, so don't worry. You don't have to worry. But yeah, but this was Goku for some 1.
And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. Let us know more in comments what you thought about the movie.
Thank you for watching, listening.
All right, have a great one.
We'll see you next time. YouTube?